All right. Greetings. Welcome back to Blackburn News, where everything is connected. How you doing? Let me know if you have any issues with the... Yeah, it's fine. Hearing me or seeing me? But thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. Everything feels weird on my microphone situation. We are live on I almost said Rockfin, Rumble, YouTube, and X. Here we are on X. If you're tuning in on X, thanks for showing up there. It makes the $4 or $8 or whatever it is I pay in order to stream to X worth it. Everything looks good? Okay, cool. What happened to Rockfin? They started forcing people to do paid streams. Like put your streams behind a paywall. And I can still upload free. Like I could take this video and upload it to Rockfin, and you would be able to watch it for free, but I just don't have the time for all that. I wish I did. I wish I had time to do a whole lot more things. but I'm dividing my time between many things in order to make all of them happen. And I don't know if that's a smart thing or not, but that's something to debate in my own brain. That's what happened to Rockfin. But I want to stream to places that are free for people to watch, because I don't want to put anything behind a paywall. Not yet, anyways. And plus, Rockfin was just starting to be a little weird. And I had issues with that. How y'all doing? How you feeling? What's going on? Yeah. Let's see. I'm just looking through the. All right, Victory Jen reposted the stream on X. Thank you, Victory Jen. Streetlights that kill in smart city. What the heck? Aman Jabi. Okay, well maybe I'll watch this. Oh, wrong one. This one. That's the title. I wish that you. Let's see. Maybe I'll just look it up right now. Let's see. The final lockdown. There's a song for that. Oh, there it is. Okay, I found it. Cool. You feel better than you should? Yeah, I feel all right today. It's starting to get warm, not crazy. We're going to have a little heat wave this week. And by little, I mean, pretty little. Kind of a typical autumn heat wave. I suppose they did call heat waves back in the day when it was just hot, summer hot. Started, the whole the whole scaring people with weather started a long time ago. I mean, and it is a thing that sure, you should be scared of the weather sometimes, but sometimes not so much. But back I remember being a kid, and they would like absolutely freak people out. Here comes the craziest storm that ever, with Doppler radar and Mega Storm Tracker 26 or whatever it was. They used to get people all riled up. It's a thing. But in this day and age, there are moments when you should get riled up, when you should be afraid. Be very afraid. Sorry I didn't post a show on X earlier, or Telegram. I got sidetracked. I set up the show, and then I was watching kind of a little bit of an interesting video. I mean, actually, it wasn't that interesting. Whatever. I was just watching some guy talking about the jabs, the COVID shots being a slow release, basically kill mechanism, which I feel like is not a absolutely not a novel concept. I feel like a lot of people think that's what they were, or and a lot of people would tell you that they know that's what they were. I'd say you know, I like to work in probabilities. I don't like to work in absolutes as much as possible. So I try to stop myself from generalizing or absoluting when I can. But I would err on the side of saying that I think that they were, in fact, that they had problems, and probably deadly problems, and that they knew that beforehand, and that the release, they released it knowing this on purpose, which would make it premeditated. Does the vax make you transhuman? I don't know. I think, well, we're going to listen to Peter Thiel tell you that transhuman means living forever. So I think it's the opposite of transhuman. It makes you an ex-human. It makes you extra mortal. I mean, I don't know. I also heard, I've heard many people talk about the idea that well, so just to backtrack, the guy that I was listening to was talking, and I realized like I didn't need to listen to it for too long, because he was kind of talking about recycled ideas. He wasn't talking about any new ideas, but he was probably bringing these ideas to people that hadn't heard them before or considered them before. And so he was saying that they were trying, again, this is this is like 3 years old or 4 years old, but talking about they need to get rid of the elderly population, the boomer generation, because they don't have money to pay Social Security and Medicare out to the elderly population, so this idea was popular in like 2021, 22. Maybe even 2020. So he was talking about that. He's like, I have it on, I absolutely know this is what they're doing. And again, I would give that a high probability. Well, not new idea or not, I would give that a high probability. Oh, what I was going to say was that the other idea is that the spike protein from the vax. So if you're paying attention, you're seeing, and you should be paying attention to this. If you're paying attention, they're talking about self-amplifying vaccines now, a new generation of vaccines called self-amplifying. So they're phasing out mRNA and phasing in saMRNA, which is self-amplifying, which means vaccines that work like viruses themselves. They spread themselves, right? So you don't need to get somebody's consent to vaccinate them. If you put a self-amplifying vaccine out there, it spreads of its own accord. But here's the thing, the idea that I heard talked a lot about a few years ago was that the vaccines that were given to people were already self-amplifying. And I would give that a high probability too. So if you were not vaccinated, they were saying the spike protein could shed from people that were vaccinated possibly into people that were not vaccinated, which would make it somewhat of a self-amplifying vaccine. So meaning if you were not a vaccinated person and you were hanging out or having sex with or in close contact with somebody who was vaccinated, you would receive these spike proteins that were in the vaccine that was given to this person yourself. A lot of people might say, no way. And some people might say, of course. I don't know for sure. Transfection, yes. I don't know for sure either way, but I would, I'd give it a really heavy consideration, considering that they're talking about self-amplifying vaccines right now, and knowing also that they generally have these technologies way before they release them, right? They're studying these things 20 years prior. All of these things that we're talking about right now today are things that were studied, well studied and thought about in detail, decades ago, and probably perfected on some level, right? So they already had this technology, the capabilities of this technology. Consider the fact that they were working specifically on a coronavirus that induced myocarditis. This was a study. This was an experiment that was conducted by scientists. Hey, and why would you even do this? But hey, we're gonna, we're working on this. We're biohacking this virus, and it could cause people to have heart attacks. Whoa. Like, who would actually even say that sentence out loud and think like that is demonic? That is absolutely evil. But scientists are able to go like, well, that's very interesting. Well, maybe we should do a study on that. Right? Like, no, don't. No, you don't even consider it if you are an actual functioning human being and not just a robot with a big brain. But anyways, they did this study, and considering the fact that people were having myocarditis, and they're trying to, people are debating whether it's COVID that gave them the myocarditis or the vaccine that gave them myocarditis. Maybe it's both. Maybe it was both. Well documented. All of these things were well documented. Not these things are not theory. These things are not, right. The fact that people were getting myocarditis from the vaccines is not theory. That's not just a concept or an idea. That's a fact, right? That is a fact which has been documented and admitted to and agreed to by the people that made these things and the people that regulate these things. So this is not theory. This is fact. Anyways, just avoid the vaccinated. I mean, I had a friend a friend who was a woman who was saying, like, kind of during the pandemic, she was like, and she was not a fan of vaccination or the vaccine, and she was like, at one point saying she wasn't going to date someone who was vaccinated. And I was like, hey, that's skepticism. That's a good amount of healthy skepticism. Maybe you shouldn't do that. I don't know. Then she changed her mind, I guess, because the dating pool was small. The unvaccinated dating pool in California was small. I don't know. Lipid nanoparticles are shown to have devastating impact on health and have the same effects like clot and cancer as we see following the fake vaccine. Yeah. Sure. Yep. The shots are likely Internet of Bodies, Internet of Things. Yeah. And that also, and there's still a considerable amount of discussion on the back of all of these things that I just talked about. Things that were, discussed at length a few years ago, that for a moment, like after COVID kind of really died away, there was a moment where people were kind of steering away from talking about COVID and COVID vaccines and stuff. There was a moment at which, people were kind of like, all right, okay, we are over that. We're talking about other things. But it's very much in play. All these things are very much in play, absolutely in play. Still very important subjects. Yes, and there's a lot of discussion right now about the Internet of Bodies, the Internet of Things, 5G, AI, health tracking. I find it. I've been, and I'll bring up again people like Sabrina Wallace and Ryan Sikorsky, and people who talk about in depth about kind of these things. I mean, I'm sure there are other people out there, and I would like to know their names. If anybody else has anybody they can recommend it to me to listen to. Ryan Sikorsky, I like listening to. Sabrina Wallace, sometimes it just is hard. I really like what she's saying, and I like the things she discusses, but it's just really hard sometimes to not just go like, oh my God, this, every once in a while to go like, okay, I can't, you might be, you're really onto things, but you're so out there that I don't know if maybe you're peppering some of the stuff that you're saying that's important with some stuff that's just wacky. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't want to like disparage her, but it's just hard. It's hard to, sometimes you got to really like, you have to be skeptical of everyone and everything you're listening to, everybody you're listening to. So Ryan Sikorsky presents stuff in a way that's a little more like just tamped down emotionally, and like a lot of the wackiness is gone. But if anybody knows, and I think, Seven Seas kind of talks about this stuff. Ryan Christian talks about this kind of stuff, about the Internet of Things, nanoparticles, and all of that stuff. I would, I would say that I would lean towards, that being more likely than not likely happening right now. Absolutely. And if you're looking at what's happening right now, absolutely. Right, the way that they're running, they are running full speed ahead with AI, self-amplifying mRNA, health tracking, surveillance, iris scanning, biometrics, biometric stuff, all of this stuff is moving forward very quickly. Even if you thought it was weird or out there, I would say, why not just be safe? And give it some benefit of the doubt, and be, more safe than sorry, than saying like, it's whatever. And then like next year or 2 years from now, you're like, holy shit. We are screwed. And it might be that we're screwed anyways, and it doesn't really matter what you think, but you could maybe, if you're of the mind to take some strategic action, like maybe you can, I don't know. Population reduction is top of the list, says John Glad. Probably. I mean, sure. And I don't even think it's I mean, maybe a lot of people would link population control or population reduction to the climate. They try to link it to the climate change thing, or link it to climate change, or to people that are, saying like, well, it's like there's this like jump of like, well, people that talk about climate change want, you're the carbon they want to reduce. Yeah, but it's not so much for carbon's sake. I think it's probably more, even more so. I think it's less that it's about climate change, and more so that it's about economic, right? There's going to be, we've reached the end of our current fiat currency cycle, and debt is about to blow up. It doesn't really, and maybe it's just a lot easier to manage. Again, like, wars are population reduction. Famine is population reduction, right? All of these things end up depopulating a certain, like the way that people talk about depopulation as like the end goal is taking out every. I mean, I think that the end goal is not like, well, we're just going to depopulate No, they just don't care. Like, we're always going to repopulate. You're just livestock, cannon fodder. So if they think that taking down the population of the planet by a couple of billion over the next few years might be a good thing, then they'll do that, not with the goal of like, well, we're going to have some steady state economy, or we're doing this with the goal of like helping the future of the planet, or helping him, with the goals that you think might be at the end of that. I don't know. No, it's just about, they want to get rid of the dead weight, the economic dead weight, and usher in something different. But in the case of like Social Security and Medicare and stuff like that, welfare, the country is bleeding. The coffers are dry. This country is bleeding money. We're probably heading to some form of economic explosion or implosion, and they're doing everything that they can to I don't know, maybe lessen the effects of that. Maybe they're trying to avoid it altogether. I don't know. Okay, let's talk about some things, man. So this story about the letting go of the guy, the Israeli guy, is got wheels. It's one of those things where they're trying to make it go away, and it's just not going away. Max Blumenthal posted this. Sigal Chadha, the acting U.S. attorney who enabled the flight of accused Israeli child sex predator and cyber spy Tom Alexandrovich, campaigned for Nevada AG by boasting of her Israeli citizenship and pushing crass hatred of Muslims. Her campaign ad was called Israeli Born. This is so bizarre. It's so bizarre. The Epstein stuff has gone away. Yeah, it has started to die back a little bit, and I'm sure that they're this does not help though, because this is just a piggyback on the same story. But let's watch this ad. And what's bizarre to me is that this is not really an appeal to anybody but like weird Zionist Christians. So it's very small. Like, you're running this ad and you're appealing to a small section of the population. You're not appealing to any, like Americans at large. You're not appealing to any. You're just appealing to like people that hate, might hate Muslims just because the TV told them so, and Zionist Christians. And it's just bizarre. And other maybe Israelis. This is bizarre. This is absolutely bizarre. I'm going to play this ad though that she ran.
The radical left is burning down our country and attacking Jews in the streets. Radical left. And Ilhan Omar is fanning the flames. I'm Sigal Chadha, an Israeli-born lawyer running to be America's #1 conservative attorney general.
It does look like more fish
out. Ilhan Omar and take her team to court for defunding our police, opening our borders, and teaching our kids to hate each other based on the color of their skin.
Exactly, Denver.
I need your help. The left is pouring money into this seat so they can put more criminals on the streets. Can you chip in $25 right now? If enough pay.
That's it. I'm not going to play anymore. But it's bizarre. Exactly, Denver. That's the thing that I thought, was that she's not appealing to people at large. She's appealing to power people. She's appealing to people in power. So you're not going to get any votes from Americans on this ad, but you're going to get somebody going like, hey, somebody at the top of the food chain saying like, hey, this person is a team player. And guess what? It paid off. She's acting U.S. attorney. It worked, I guess, because she didn't need, she obviously didn't win her race, but she won because she signaled to those people that are wielding power, hey, I'm a team player. So, yeah. What's up, Fleur Ali? How you doing? Redacted files? What do you mean, John Glad? Redacted files will be seen by Congress? Very, very, very weird stuff. Max Blumenthal goes on to explain, to understand Israel's malign infiltration of American society, look no further than attorney Chadha. Israeli-born Chadha is punting on the case of Tom Alexandrovich, an Israeli cyber spy who was arrested in Las Vegas as part of a multi-agency operation targeting child sex predators. Since Alexandrovich fled the U.S., she has kicked the case down to local Clark County prosecutors who, as Ali Abumina noted, are much less likely to succeed in securing his extradition. Alexandrovich worked in the office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's cyber directorate and helped create Israel's national anti-hacking program known as Cyberdome. Though his name has been kept under wraps until his arrest in Las Vegas, Alexandrovich reportedly received the Israel Defense Prize for Innovations, which his country's defense minister credited with enabling the assassination of Hezbollah General Secretary Hassan Nasrallah. Alexandrovich was allowed to immediately abscond from the U.S. despite being a flight risk, and while the State Department is claiming it played no role, Chadha's office had clearly dropped the ball. For her part, Chadha was named acting U.S. attorney this August by Trump to avoid a potentially embarrassing confirmation process that would have exposed her lack of credentials. Wow. When she ran for Nevada Attorney General, she released a campaign that began by touting her Israeli citizenship. Like many of her countrymen, Chadha is fanatically racist Zionist. She once said of her black opponent in the Attorney General race, this guy should be hanging from a crane. Jesus. He's like the leader of Hamas. Whoa. Forced onto the defensive when her comments leaked to the press, she offered the following exclusive: "That is my culture." They just say it. They say it out loud. They say the quiet part out loud. They admit to it. Say what? You need to put this on FB? No. Not on FB. I think that's a bad place to put it. Honestly. I don't know. Anyways. Now Chadha will have to explain why she's not interested in prosecuting her fellow Israeli Alexandrovich and how he was able to flee back home to the sex predator paradise of Tel Aviv, which rarely extradites Jews back to the U.S., and where 75% of sex offenders are freed before finishing their sentences. Wow. It's crazy to hear, but it's the truth. But it's crazy to hear. But it's the truth. What is this? Is this her culture? Sex predators? Is that your culture? Are you going to claim that? Sex predators and genociders? Is that? There are also questions to ask about potential involvement by Miriam Adelson, the Israeli megadonor who has pumped hundreds of millions into Trump's campaign, donated heavily to Netanyahu, and owns the Las Vegas Sands and exerts heavy influence on local Nevada politics. Wild, man. Wild story. Blakely, let's go back to Blakely for an update on the fact that they're taking down posts on X because Elon Musk is a big fat liar and he's an evil super cuck who is not interested in freedom or freedom of speech. He just poses like he is in order to gain people's trust. He's not anything. X's Grok confirms it was given takedown requests on posts reporting on and discussing the arrest of the Israeli cybersecurity directorate, Tom Alexandrovich.
You guys remember last week when Grok got temporarily suspended, right? And you guys remember the other day I told you about this Israeli government official who
Grok got temporarily suspended last week for saying the truth about a genocide. It does sound very Ukrainian. Denver, yeah. Really? Wait, hold on.
was arrested and charged in Nevada on crimes against children and then was inexplicably released and able to flee back to Israel. Well, a lot of people on X that were talking about and posting about this insane story that all of Western media is ignoring were noticing that X was taking their posts down. So they asked Grok. He said, as Grok, I don't control X's moderation, but based on my analysis of public records, your prior tweets and my responses about Tom Alexandrovich appear to have been removed, possibly due to X's policies on sensitive content or automated filters. So then people ask Grok to follow up. So wait, you're confirming that the post talking about Tom Alexandrovich, the Israeli cybersecurity official that got arrested on child charges, were taken down by X's moderation team? Yes, Grok said. Tom Alexandrovich, arrested in Las Vegas on the 16th of August for luring a minor, headed a division of Israel's National Cyber Directorate, the agency behind the cyber unit's takedown request on X, pattern of influence and scandal-raising questions. Indeed. Shout out to Gen X Girl for putting this together. This is insane, you guys. And you know what's really scary about this is that X is the least censored of all the social media platforms right now. And if Grok is confirming that this shit is happening on X, God only knows what's happening everywhere else.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Supposedly X is the least censored. I don't know. You know, the thing is that I've come to understand that, like, you don't have to, there are lots of ways to censor people, right? You don't have to take down people's posts or even block. You don't even have to kick people off of platforms. You could just keep people from seeing posts, right? You can just like contain the post or contain the account in a wall where nobody can see what you're doing, right? Your post won't get shown to anybody. Nobody will see your post. Nobody will see your account. Nobody will, right? There's, you know, so many different ways. Yeah, but I don't post anything on FB or Instagram that isn't just like love and light because I feel like they're some of the most censorious things. TikTok is terrible. TikTok is terrible. They're really bad. They'll just outright, if they don't like my posts, they just outright just like block it out. And I'm not even posting anything like really crazy, like ever. But I've posted a few things that, you know, I guess could be controversial a little bit. And not only do they block out those posts, but like now my account on TikTok is heavily squashed. Like they hardly let anybody see any of my posts. If I'm just posting music or whatever, anything, they're just like, nah. Oh, really? That's interesting. That's interesting, Poppy. Listen to this. Look at I don't really follow TYT and haven't for a long time, and I haven't really cared about Cenk or Anna Kasparian, but like these are pretty wild announcements from them. Can we pause for a second and just acknowledge how insane it is that two American media commentators are having to tell us on record that they're not suicidal because Israelis and pro-Israeli groups are threatening their lives? And that's what they're saying.
I think it's important for people to understand why there are so many figures in the media who are terrified of accurate reporting of Israel. And more importantly, I'm not suicidal. And if anything happens to me, it's not an accident, okay? I'm just putting it out there. I just want it to be on the record. Here's one more example.
Okay, so she says that, and we'll listen to Cenk.
So this is disgusting, but I know that no one will care. I know that. I'm going to say this in case they might care about this. So groups like Canary Mission are
terrorist groups.
Yeah, well, of course, what they're doing is they're encouraging stochastic terrorism.
Yep.
So they're saying, okay, this person is an anti-Semite because he or she criticized Israel. They're not allowed to criticize Israel. They're all anti-Semite. And then they get like tons of death threats against that person, probably every single time. And then they probably laugh their ass off behind the scenes. Let's go. Cross your fingers. Hope to get lucky that one of them murders Anna. Okay. And meanwhile, the U.S. government takes their list and arrests Americans based on their lists.
Yep.
So now there's a pro-Israel group inside America that is encouraging death threats against Americans, and the US government works for them like goddamn dogs, and they'll ruin your life if you criticize Israel. So we're all supposed to stay quiet about this. Well, you came to the wrong place, brothers and sisters. I'll double down what Anna said. If any harm comes to us, it was definitely Israel. We love life, we love America. This is proof of life, okay? If any of these monsters do anything, it was almost definitely Israel supporters who are maniacal and cheer on serial killers every single day. Oh no, we didn't kill enough Palestinian babies. I can't stand it. And by the way, because this is the part where the only reason why anyone might care about the story, a predecessor group to them was called Masada 2000. And what they did was they put together a list of 8,000 self-hating Jews. Okay, and they targeted those Jewish Americans as well. How dare you criticize Israel? And I tell you that partly because if you're Muslim or Christian, no one cares about you in this country. Okay, I'm keeping it real. I'm sorry. Show me one person who cares, then I'll totally change my mind. But you have to criticize anyway. So,
okay. Fake TYT says Salt Lakers. I mean, that's, it's interesting that they're going on, that this is going down. When they have long been known to be in the pocket of, for sure Democratic donors, but they have, they in the past have run interference for the powerful in their narratives. And so now, they're going hard against Israel, and it makes you wonder, right? Which is why I have to play this with with some caveats, I guess. Yeah, I mean, Timothy, I'm not sure. I would like it to stop, and I appreciate you, man. I don't know what to do about it. I'm shadow banned because I take it as a compliment. I mean, I'm shadow banned because they're, concerned that more people might be listening. Or more people might, whatever, that I might influence people. So that's why. It's frustrating, but there was a time when I was really frustrated by it and really concerned about it and really tried to try to do all the things that I thought I could do to kind of go around it. And I just can't, so I've just resigned myself to, I just do my best, right? I just, I do what I can do, what I can try to do. And I don't know what else there is to do. I just gotta be me and whatever, I'm still constantly thinking about and working on and looking at different ways to reach people that is not suppressed or whatever. But, what are you going to do? You just do what you do. But I do like to I like to at least call attention to it. I mean, there's people here, Fleur Ali. There's lots of folks here. There's also people watching on X, so there's that. I don't know. I can't. You can't really trust the numbers, Fleur Ali. I mean, there's plenty of people in the chats I can see. So we'll just go with that. But that is them shadow banning me, like not showing very many people watching. That's what they do. Many people are watching. Your videos aren't getting many views.
I think it's important for people to understand why there are so many figures in the media who are terrified of accurate reporting of Israel. And I think it's important.
They try to, they make it seem like, no, where is everybody? Nobody's watching. Nobody likes this channel. It's, who cares? Nobody's watching this channel. Boring. Like that's what they're trying to put into people's minds. It's very effective. It's extremely effective. And more so, it's also effective, or has been in the past, for making me feel like I'm doing something wrong. It's my fault. What can I do to make it better? How can I, they're trying to get me to like give up, to be demoralized. And fuck that. I'm not going to be demoralized. So, you're not going to demoralize me, but like, but it's effective in making it seem like nobody's watching. But I know that people are watching. I know that people are tuning in because I get signals from it in other places. I see signals from it in other places. So you think you're fooling me and you think you're fooling people, but you are not. Just letting the people know that are the people that are trying to run the algorithms on me, like letting you know it's actually not working. Is not working. You're not demoralizing me, and you're not demoralizing people from watching me. So it's just not working. So just stop it. Just cut it out. Because whatever you're doing is illegal, and it's fraud, and it's illegal, and it's fraud. So you should just stop doing it before you make things worse. I mean, sure, they can do whatever they want, I'm sure. But people will always find a way. People find a way. And you can't.
And more importantly,
stop.
I think it's important.
Okay, we heard it. Please. The thing is that people find a way, and and the truth is the truth, right? Like, it's really hard to blot out the truth or realness, authenticity, right? Like that's the thing that people talk about a lot these days. Like authenticity is the thing that that people want. People want authenticity. And so, because you can't, it's hard to mimic they try with these fake, like Ian Carroll and other people. They try to like mimic authenticity, if that's what Ian Carroll is an op. And I think a lot of people understand that he's an op now, but they try to fake authenticity. But the thing is if you're not authentic, if you're not really authentic, you're going to blow your cover eventually. But anyways, authenticity rules the day always, and realness rules the day always. And you can't really stop it. You can only try to be, right, to mimic it, to fake it, right? That's why they create these like fake journalists or truth tellers, right? That's why Tucker Carlson is all like, ooh, I'm all out on the outside now. They try to mimic it because they understand the power of it, and they're just trying to, COINTELPRO it. but you can't. You can only do that for so long. Trump said something weird out loud, as he is prone to do. I feel like the Biden thing was a setup for a Trump like leaving too. Honestly. I mean, at some point, you don't need a Trump anymore. But I feel like they, it's very effective to have people who are so old and falling apart in power, because you can just go, they're just old and say, or Trump just what, how not ridiculous would it be for Trump to just pass away in the night? I mean, how surprised would you be if you woke up tomorrow morning, they're still like, Trump. Trump didn't make it, didn't wake up this morning, guess it's Vance now. Like, it's pretty convenient. In a bizarre rant, Trump suggests he's worried he'll spend eternity in hell when he dies. Trump, I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I hear I'm not doing well. What? I mean, at least this guy can assess like reality. I don't know. You have to. I hate this dude, but you have to give him the fact that at least he can assess things like right. Like at least he can look at the big picture and go like, well, I don't think I'm doing too hot on that level. Like maybe I'm screwed on getting into heaven.
You just want to end it. I want to end it. We're not losing American lives. We're not losing American soldiers. We're losing Russian and Ukrainian, mostly soldiers. Some people as missiles hit wrong spots or get lobbed into cities like Kiev and towns. But, if I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well. I am really at the bottom of the totem pole. But if I can get to heaven, this will be one of the reasons. Well, I think I saved a lot of lives with India, Pakistan. They were going at it. Planes were being shot down. That was going to be maybe a nuclear war if I let that go. And I did that through trade. Just want to end it. I want to end it. We're not losing American lives. We're not losing.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if that's in the context of that. I don't know if it's that bizarre, but at least he can assess the situation clearly as far as how he's doing on the totem pole of getting to heaven. I mean, save Palestinians, you asked. Yeah, thank you. Right, Poppy. Right. Mr. Humanitarian over here. Mr. International. Okay, let's look at this. We're going to switch gears for a second. Why would they spray? Okay, we're going to watch this video, but they're talking about spraying glyphosate over the woods, like over forests in Canada. Okay, this is Dan Dix from Press for Truth. By the way, guys, if you like the show, if you support the show, if you want to see the show continue to come to you for free 99 Monday through Friday, you know how to do it. Lots of links in the description box of whatever platform you're watching on, or there's a link tree on X. All the usuals are there: PayPal, Venmo, CashApp, Zelle, Ko-Fi, Buy Me a Coffee, etc. Okay, my question about this whole thing, and he's showing a video of them, I guess, releasing this stuff, but why would you Why would you put an herbicide over like a forest area? Like what? Can somebody explain that to me? Because I think I'm just too. I don't understand it. Can somebody explain why would you put an herbicide over like a wilderness area? Like what would be the point of that? I don't understand. That's just my basic maybe misunderstanding of what. Well, anyway, let's listen to this.
If you think wildfire smoke is bad for your health, just wait until you see what the government is purposely spraying on you and your family.
Oh, what the fuck? These guys are spraying shit on our fucking plant. These guys are spraying our forests.
Can you see that, guys? I don't know if you can see it. It's hard to see.
That's probably glyphosate.
How do you know it's glyphosate? I mean, the forest is not on fire.
Pieces of shit.
It's not water, I don't think.
Spraying this shit around all our families?
I mean, it's water. How do you know it's glyphosate?
You can guarantee they are spraying something that is not good for us people to be breathing in down here. And it's likely glyphosate.
Hold on. Gregory says Roundup has been used in Canada for years to kill the older, etc. So conifers can grow faster. It's a known carcinogen. Stupidity. Yeah, I mean, this is fire retard. I know. I don't really understand it. So we're going to watch the rest of this, but I just want to say, like, I'm watching this with the lens of, how does this guy know it's glyphosate? Like, that's, your assumption of what it is they're spraying, first of all, is a big problem. But okay, we'll take that at face value. B, that doesn't make any sense. But okay. I know what it is. I know it's Roundup. Why would you just spray it in wilderness areas? It makes zero sense. I mean, it's something that you spray on like crops to get rid of, pests that you don't want eating your crops. But in the wilderness area, it just makes zero sense. But if somebody can explain to me why they would do this, I don't know. Then I could go, oh, okay, I see. There's a reason.
Ever since its introduction by Monsanto in the early 1970s, glyphosate has become the most widely used herbicide in Canadian forestry. It's applied over vast areas of publicly owned forests every single year. It works by interfering with amino acid synthesis in plants, and it's used to kill weeds and broadleaf vegetation.
Why?
It targets broadleaf plants like birch, oak, and maple, and it weakens trees, leaving it more susceptible to things like budworm, which can actually...
How does that make sense? Okay, hopefully he's going to explain all of this to me. So they're using it as a fire retardant. Okay, that would make sense to me. Okay, thanks guys for explaining it to me. To kill undergrowth that competes with water and fertilizer for trees. Wants faster growing. So some people are saying it's a fire retardant. Some people are saying it's better for trees that maybe they want to cut down. Poppy, thank you for that. The U.S. Forest Service has approved a plan to spray the herbicide on nearly 5,000 acres of timberland to reduce the risk of catastrophic forest fire. Okay. All right. Well, those reasons make sense. I mean, from a stupidly evil point of view, I guess it makes sense. Okay, let's keep listening.
Actually cause more fires. But what's even worse than that, this World Health Organization report suggests that according to them, glyphosate is probably carcinogenic. Even the International Agency for Research on Cancer says that
glyphosate
is probably...
Not only is glyphosate cancerous, and they already know this. This is not a debatable thing. This is not a yeah. Glyphosate was also linked to, remember the what's it called again? Encephalitis, something like that. Microcephaly. I forget what the exact word is. Remember the Zika thing? Guy McPherson used to talk about this a lot, about the Zika virus being, prevalent in South America, and it's coming our way. But they were blaming this microcephaly on the Zika virus when actually people were saying, no, this is glyphosate. This is exposure to herbicides, this is not a Zika virus thing. And I was like, oh, this is why that story was a big story, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. The Zika is causing microcephaly. And I was like, bullshit. Right? When I saw it's like, no. And now you don't hear that story anymore. Like, do you ever hear anybody talking about that anymore? Nope. Anyways. But Agent Orange during Vietnam, sure, Timothy. Yeah. They spray Roundup on organic crops to dry them out. It doesn't sound like fire retardation to me. If it's drying out I don't know. I'm still just like, what is this?
Probably carcinogenic to humans. And if that wasn't enough, according to Health Canada's own assessment, overexposure to glyphosate products may lead to skin and eye irritation, nausea and vomiting, and respiratory effects such as nose irritation and asthma in workers and others, if label directions are not followed. Quebec banned the use of herbicides containing glyphosate on its crown lands in 2001, but that restriction doesn't extend to anywhere else in Canada. Susan Chiblow, an assistant professor at the University of Guelph, explains the impact of glyphosate, a key ingredient in certain herbicides. When it's sprayed, it spreads far and wide. As a result, all the wildlife, from moose to mice to bees, vacates the area. That should be a clear sign that it's not good for humans either. Environmental groups like Friends of the Earth Canada, the Suzuki Foundation, Safe Food Matters, and Environmental Defense Canada all have launched a court challenge on Health Canada's conclusions on glyphosate when they say that it's only problematic if label instructions are not followed.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I thought that was an interesting video. I wanted to play it, but I'm still, it's just, something about this whole equation is not adding up to me, but, so, I mean, I wouldn't put it past a government to do something as crazy stupid as spray glyphosate on a forest, on a wilderness area. I'm still trying to understand. Let's see. But so the whole premise just is beyond me. Spraying glyphosate, says Fleur Ali, increases forest fire risk because it dries down forest growth, thereby creating forest fuel. It also facilitates the conversion of forests into conifer plantations. Okay, yeah, that kind of, I guess that makes sense. It's crazy stupid, though. It is a crazy stupid thing to do, which is, I mean, it could just be as dumb as like, Monsanto's our good buddy and we want to buy their product, give them, millions of dollars in government contracts. There's right? It's just like one hand feeding the other. How Roundup is still a widely used product is beyond me. Like, I don't understand. Like, there's plenty of knowledge out there about how dangerous this chemical is. All right, there is plenty of knowledge and studies and understanding that, like, you should never even touch this stuff. Like, you shouldn't get within 100 yards of this stuff. Like, you shouldn't have it anywhere near any kind of living anything, right? Like, it is, poison, skull and bone, right, cease and desist all use or proximity, like, just, but why, how are people still using Roundup? Like, well, I got me some Roundup today, this ultra mega death chemical. No, like, you gotta be I don't know. I don't understand. I don't get it. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I see that it would dry down weeds and crops, kill severely weakens all vegetation except plants, and either are genetically modified to withstand it. Yeah. But why would you just spray it into, like, spraying it into just a wilderness area to me would just be like, absolutely not. Like, it should be illegal in 40 different ways. Like, I think that would be like a crime against nature or humanity. But okay. I am genuinely confused and perplexed by that whole thing. But it's kind of, like, maybe it's a, you know what I'm saying? Like a fluoride in the water kind of a thing, where it's like a waste product, but also a product that people sell. And it's just like, we know this is super deadly and not good for humans or nature, but we're going to dump it in the water supply. How about that? And that'll give you plenty of business. We'll keep, we'll extend this contract for another 20 years. We'll keep on buying your fluoride there, General Mills. Right? Probably. Baron Monsanto just, yeah, probably. It's probably part of it. I just, how is it still being used anywhere on the planet? Like, anywhere on the planet. I think there's enough information out there for everybody on the planet to go like, no, never, ever, 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 under any circumstances, do you ever spray this on anything. Chlorine, sure. Okay, well, it's going show's a little late, but this is Peter Thiel talking about transhumanism, and he actually makes the point that I think some people, like, I don't, if somebody wants to be transgender, like, I don't care, but I do think there was a time in which they were really trying to ramp it up as like a marketing thing. Like, hey, try transgenderism today. It's everybody loves to be everybody loves transgender. Like, it was a thing. It was like a thing to push as far as hey, why don't we give your 8-year-old kid puberty blockers? Like, no, hell no. Like that, you should not do that. Like, let people, if that's what they want to do, that's cool. But like, kids should absolutely be left out of the conversation. Like, as far as like changing their genders, that should absolutely be a non thing. And also, I think, transgender people in sports is kind of stupid too, because it's, for one thing, is never women being a man that make it into a man sport, but it's always a man trying to be a woman that makes it into a woman's sport, and they just take all the gold. Like, that's just ridiculous. That is just a stupid thing. Sorry if that offends anybody, but that's what I think. But as far as those things go, not really with it. But as far as like people just wanting to do what they want to do with their lives and their bodies and their sex, yeah, do it. Have fun. Have at it. But there was a theory that they were trying to like really make this a thing because they want to get people into the idea of changing not just their bodies, but maybe their being, right? Like transgenderism into transhumanism. And Peter Thiel kind of actually like gives the whole thing, lays it out like pretty succinctly. But here we go. Peter Thiel during his New York Times interview. It's kind of a comic.
All right, Peter, you've been doing great so far. Just some layup questions ahead, and let's bring this home.
I think you would prefer the human race to endure, right?
No way.
You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes.
I don't know. I would.
Yeah. Yes. The answer is yes.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit
in this.
Should
the human race survive?
Yes. The only answer is yes.
Yes.
Great.
But
fuck.
I also would like us to radically solve these problems.
Right.
And so
what is he talking? What is he talking about?
Yeah, transhumanism. Human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body, and there's a critique of, let's say, the trans people in a sexual context, or transvestite is someone who changes their clothes and cross dresses. We want more than cross dressing or changing your sex organs. We want you to be able to change your heart and change your mind, your whole body. And then Orthodox Christianity.
Right. I played that interview before. Change your heart, change your mind, change your whole body. And there are some people who are totally into this, who think, yeah, this is going to be great. Okay. If that's what you want to do, sure. But I think that the problem is that they are really like pushing this thing, this is the guy that's basically in control of an AI system that is being injected into, every single thing that you do, right? Like, and this guy has a lot of power, probably more power than, probably more power than Trump or Netanyahu. Maybe. He's just he's a spokesgoon, but whoever's running this particular show, the Peter Thiel show, is definitely more powerful than whoever's running the Trump show or the Netanyahu show. But I do think I actually agree that I think that was a reason for like the heightened, like trans push, or the the whole canceling everybody if you didn't accept every aspect of trans ideology. I think that was I definitely think that was an agenda that was pushed on people, and people push back. It's still a thing that people argue about. I still see people like, and I see people saying stuff like, who cares if actually a friend of mine was like, most trans people don't regret their transition, only a small amount. So, but I mean, the amount that do, I think is pretty, it's a thing to look at. I just, there are lines for me. I just, I don't care if somebody wants to do whatever they want to do with their lives. They're just lines. Like, don't mess with children. Don't push this on children. Don't encourage. Don't, just let that go until they're older. Yeah. And don't, whatever, like let people do their things, like let women play women's sports without guys in it. That's it. That's all. Those are my lines. That's it. Not big lines, but I think those are pretty like common sense, realistic lines. But like, have surgery, cut your parts off, or add parts, or do whatever you want. If you're over 18, have at it. Just have a good old time with that. Do it all. But if you can't vote or drink or smoke or, then you shouldn't be talking about this or choosing this or deciding on this or, thinking about this until when you're 18. That's my thoughts on it. If I offend anybody, I'm sorry. But yeah, Peter Thiel, that is the transhumanist tiptoe, trans tiptoe towards getting people to think like, well, yeah, why not? Humans can totally change their consciousness. Humans can totally be evolve and become a different thing. I don't know. I want us to evolve and evolve. Before we evolve into machines, I would like us to evolve into actually embracing like the morality that we supposedly all aspire to, right? Like, I'd like for human consciousness to shift in a way. And I don't know, maybe that can never happen, right? Like maybe some people think that if we're gonna, the only way we're gonna evolve into a better species is if we become transhumanist, or if we merge with the machine, then or AI is gonna, remember we yes, extra bullet, yes. Denver, yes. Like before we, so remember when people were talking about like this is a conversation a couple of years ago, was that AI was gonna fix climate change. But the way that they were talking about it is that AI was somehow going to make decisions that we can't make, right? AI was going to clearly see the problem and go like, well, you guys maybe stop doing all this stuff that you're doing, right? Like, we're going to make the decision for you. It's like right, absence of consequence for our own actions, which is what I see people doing like everywhere, all over the place with so many different things, right? But like taking, absolving ourselves of our own, of making the decision for ourselves to act like a better species on the planet. AI is going to make, AI, people were just saying, well, AI is going to just come in and tell us what we already know. It's the same with, what is AI? Jesus? Is AI, like we have these like moral, ethical standards, supposedly, that we're all supposed to aspire to. But like, a lot of us don't make it to those moral and ethical standards. And a lot of us, and I think Peter Thiel and other people have talked about AI in the same way, right? Larry Ellison, we're all going to be on our best behavior if we're being watched all the time. So AI is going to implement like a moral code for us all to live up to, only the people being watched, not the watchers, right? Who's going to watch the watchers? But I don't know. Right there, right there is delving into kind of like a philosophical question of like, so humans are supposed to have these standards and morals and things that ethics that people are supposed to do. So should those ethics be forced on us? Should some people force those ethics on everyone else? What are the ethics? So it's just, that just opens up a big philosophical can of worms. Isn't part of human being, being imperfect, making the choice to be a better person and not having that choice imposed on you. Anyways. Or maybe we should all just give in to the AI. Maybe we're afraid that the AI is going to make the choice that we can't make for ourselves. Right? Oh, no. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to be a saint. Denver says, I don't think AI will ever be anything other than a government proxy like Al-Qaeda or COVID. Maybe. Excuse me. Some master advertising tool. AI is not a problem until it teams up with quantum computers, then we're effed. I've been Chuck says make allies with AI before they choose the wrong side. Okay. Look at Aaron lingering, smashing the Bahamas. Is it smashing the Bahamas? Have we checked in on Aaron today? Ooh, this show is long. Hurricane. Rocky like a hurricane. Now Aaron is a category 2. Let's see. Has Aaron smashed much? I'm trying to find it. I mean, should we let AI make us more ethical creatures? Is AI a representation of our better selves? It's near land and probably won't. It's not near land. Yeah, I don't see really. I don't see a lot of effects of Aaron right now. If hurricanes get AI, we're boned. Okay. If we can save Grok, maybe he can save your planet. I don't know. Grok seems to be, pretty up on game. Grok is pretty based these days. If only he can not have his account banned, then Grok might make it. Okay. All right, guys, I got to take off. Thanks so much for being okay. Grok has some Nazi tendencies. I did not see that. All right, guys. Take it easy. Beware the bear.